Okay, let's check a little bit closer the changes we did to CSS. There is also, for example, text align, which says how the text will be aligned. Here it says left. If we put it to right, you can guess what will happen. So this one is pretty descriptive. I will go back to left. We can also align items. We also define the font size. We're using REM here, which is basically a unit that is relative to the root. So our root could have a font size, and then all the size, for example, here would be relative to our root. If there is no root defined, it's 16 pixels, I think. Otherwise, you can also set it relative to the parent element, or, for example, if you are making buttons or some boxes, you can also make them relative to the viewpoint based on the width of the screen or height and so on. So you can read a little bit more about it here. We also use a font weight. So this is basically boldness. If we make it, I don't know, 800, it would be bolder. So we're using 200, for example. Another thing is transition. So whenever there is a change to the font size, background color, or box shadow, in our example, we don't apply these changes immediately, but we take a little bit of time, like 0.3 seconds, which you can now see, for example, when we click, there is this shadow appearing and disappearing. It looks like it's immediate, but for example, if we remove this, this line, and try it now, this is very immediate. It looks like stiff somehow. But if we use the transition, then everything is a little bit smoother and gentler. So this is like, designers use this a lot to create a little bit more of a gentle feel to the web pages or apps. Other than that, we basically went through main other things. So yeah, if you are interested also like how to make variables and stuff, I already linked in the previous video description. So you don't have to use variables, but it makes CSS way more readable, especially if you're reusing variables in different places. So you don't have to each time write them down. Another thing is we should always commit changes. So I, before committed, made a new commit. So git log minus one line -5. We can check all of our previous commits. So after I finished recording, I created a new bundle by running, let me just clear this, by running npm run build. This created a new bundle. Then I ran git add -a, and then git commit. Another thing, if you go with arrow up, you can see your previous comments. So sometimes, you can just go and use arrows to move up when you're repeating certain commands. So this was my command: git commit -message, set input min max, and styling. So why is this important? Because changes that we'll do locally, we can lose. Maybe our system crashes, or we start applying more changes to our code and then mess up something, and then we cannot go back to the previous working code. So that therefore, when we get to the stage when we have a code that is working, we should have a practice to always commit it and save that version to GitHub and to Git itself. So even locally, if we now check the previous commits with this git log, we can see all of the previous versions, and if we would now mess up something, we can always go back to this version and we will have exactly the code as it is today, even though if we did like 10 more commits in the future.